Superpower. Sit and talk to you. I wanna give you your flowers. For the shrimp and lobster tower. But it's you that gets it right. What you do, what you do. I'm in power. You give me a superpower. Let me see. Yours, mine, and ours. I could do this for hours. Sit and talk to you for hours. I wanna give you your flowers, your champagne, and the flowers for the shrimp and lobster tower. But it's you that gets the right. Oh.
It's about that time, baby, baby. Oh, yeah. Here we go, here we go.
The Sinclair Show is on.
It is on.
Run it to your friends, come on.
Come on, come on.
It's a moment of the show tonight. Mailbag is tight. Sinclair is on the mic.
Once again, it's on. You're still troubled in your home. Got you tripping, don't know right from wrong. Send your letters to the show so we can talk you through. Get the answers to your questions because we speak that truth. Sometimes you doubt yourself, lost your health. Faith is on the fence, but you believe that Jesus knows your wealth. Keep it moving, spirit flowing because we're here to provide someone to lean on when you're falling. Wednesday, 8 and 9, and it's on. Once again, it's on. You're listening to the only morning show at night, people. It's the Sinclair Show, live and direct. I already see some of these smart comments out here in listening land, but you know what? It's all right because we've been gone for a couple of weeks, and I know some of y'all was in your feelings behind that, but that's okay because sometimes you got to do what you got to do for the greater good, and that's what I've been doing. I was out doing something for the greater good, for my people, if you will. So anyway, first of all, I want to thank all of you all who continue to send your mailbag questions and comments to sinclairtalk@outlook.com. We're going to continue to address as many as possible each night that I'm on the air to reach you because you're the valued listener. And what does that mean? That means there would be no reason for 6-7 years in the game on this show for y'all coming back every week if y'all wasn't the valued listener. So that's how we going to get down. That's how we going to make this happen. Big Rod, all right, let me see who's out here in the listening land right off the gate so we can go ahead and get this out. First on the list tonight, Nikki Carter. You ain't even an arch nemesis. I've been gone so long, we ain't even fighting tonight. My brother Andre Williams, what's going on? Greetings from the Hampton Roads area. That's what I'm talking about. There go my mama. Hey, mama, what's going on? Taya, what's going on? Glad to see you. Gwendolyn Lady Elegance Pritchard, as always, from Rocket City. What? Alabama. Nicky Carter says it's about time you showed up. No more PTO for you. Girl, please. Y'all. Jay Dizzle. What's up with the Jay Dizzle going on? Hey, man, I can't call it. Missy Ty said, hey, all right, cool. I'm glad y'all still got. There goes Chanelly Rawls. All right. Well, it's a whole bunch of y'all out here tonight. Stephanie Tillman, how you doing? Glad to see you. Big Rod. Said, man, oh man, where you been? Big Rod, let me tell you something. Man, I had some, truth be told, I had to go before a board, take a test, do all kind of stuff. So I had to get my studying on to make sure that I represented the people well, you know, so everything all was well, that ends well. God looked out for a brother, so everything turned out as it should. Who is Johnny calling hey pretty lady? Man, what is, I don't even want to know who talking to who. Cassandra, what's going on, girl? Glad to see the legal beagle. Hey, Cassandra, matter of fact, I'm probably gonna need you tonight because the night stuff is woohoo. The night gonna be off the chain, y'all. Today is let me see. Hold on. Hey lady, how you? Okay, that's just them talking to each other. All right, look, people. Let me make sure I put this out there in your ear. If you out here on social media, because I'm on a slightly different platform, some of you all may be on Facebook, some of you all may be on YouTube, some of you may be on Twitch and other formats that the show streams to. So if you don't type in anything, if you're not on Facebook, I'm not going to see whatever you're saying immediately. That's why it seems like my Facebook people always get, they props. Lynette Harris, what's going on? She said, has your boy been on vacation too? We miss him. Hey, look. Hey, I'm gonna bring them back, man. They been out there just lounging around ever since the weather got cool. But she talking about my dogs, man. But glad to see you, Lynette. All right, so look, people. Tonight, I got so many letters about Yeezy, Kanye, and everybody had an opinion. So what did your boy do while I was off? I wasn't just out here straggling around in the streets. I was doing my due diligence so that I could have an educated opinion and give you guys some food for thought. Now, let me say this. Yeezy is a controversial character. I've yet to decide whether I like or dislike him personally, but that's irrelevant. That's the beauty of what we do in America. I don't have to like you or dislike you. I can have multiple perspectives, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight, because I believe, and some of you all may have seen that I posted up a couple of things. I posted up a Dave Chappelle video and some other things, and all of that ties into what I'm going to talk about tonight. So for those of you who have been living under a rock, or maybe y'all been gone like me, Kanye West has been fluttering. Only person making more news than Yeezy today is Putin and Donald Trump, if you will. And that's saying something. So we're going to talk about the last 30 days, what's happened with him, what he's accused of, what's been the response to what he's accused of. Were they right? Were they wrong? Was he right? Was he wrong? And I want you all to reserve your opinion about the situation, but I want you to include yourselves into the Q&A session. And Cassandra's the legal beagle. So if I get anywhere close to the lines, Cassandra, you make sure I use the term alleged or whatever. All right. So here we go. First of all, let's talk about Yeezy has had matter of fact, let me say it right. I believe he calling himself Ye now. He don't want to be Kanye. He just Ye now. So if he want to be called Ye, I'm going to call him Ye. So beginning early in October, Kanye West, also known as Ye, went on a spree of public appearances and interviews in which he spouted what was said to be anti-Semitic comments and conspiracy theories, criticized Black Lives Matter, ended business relationship, and was blocked on social media platforms, leading to widespread criticism and disavowed by industry peers. Here's all of the things that I was able to document that was alleged. All right. So let's begin with the first one. And I'm gonna let them pop across the screen. On October the 3rd, Kanye West and Candace Owen and at least one model wore his shirt with White Lives Matter written on them at West Yeezy fashion show in Paris. The Southern Poverty Law Center says the term is associated with a neo-Nazi group with the same name that was founded as a racist response to the civil rights movement Black Lives Matter, and described itself as dedicated to promote the white race and taking positive actions as a united voice against issues facing our race. All right. So October the 3rd, he's at Fashion Week in Paris, and he comes out with the White Lives Matter shirt along with Candace Owens. All right. Woo! Ooh, so Yeezy jumps out of the gate like that. All right. Now let's talk about that for a second. Because I know many of you have some comments, but I want to begin with the concept of, if you say something that people do not like, does it make it anti-Semitic? That's the first question. Anybody? Let me see. Nikki Carter said, why is his actions and statements considered alleged? For the purposes of this show, Nikki Carter, hold on for a second. He posted that pic on his SM. All right. For the purposes of this show, to ensure that we don't encounter any any legal issues, when you use the phrase alleged, you are neither confirming and or accepting it to be factual, any type of charges or anything against a person. Is that right, Legal Beagle? And I want y'all to understand, I could say what I personally think, but I also have to be mindful that the show itself bears weight out there in the community, because it's not just, while it's the Sinclair show, it's the Sinclair show that is broadcast. So I am, as the owner of the show, I am responsible for what I say and the truthfulness of it to my knowledge. So when I say alleged, it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It doesn't mean that it did. It's what is being purported out there. Detective Pamela Black, glad to see you. All right, so the first thing I want to do is educate everybody. The definition of anti-Semitic is relating to or characterized by anti-Semitism, feeling or showing hostility toward discrimination against Jews as a culture, racial, or ethnic group. Remember that, people. Relating to or characterized by anti-Semitism, feeling or showing hostility toward or discriminating against Jews as a cultural, racial, or ethnic group. Now, because the show has many viewers, many of them are Jewish and have sent in their feelings about things, and I'll talk about some of them. I want to begin with this. How do we as a culture accept the cancellation of individuals who say things that might offend somebody based on feelings, even if they're factual or not? And we'll talk about whether or not some of the alleged comments were factual. But how do we allow that and become supporters of? Hold on, we got somebody new up in the camp. John Milas. All right, so glad he's done joined us in. I ain't see you, so I don't want to leave you behind. Again, the question is, how do we as a people latch on to something and agree to the cancellation concept of an individual based on something being said to hurt a individual and or group's feelings, regardless to whether it may be factual or not? I say, if we are taking the stance that is being promoted by some, then why don't we get that same treatment in the Negro community when folks say stuff that is negative about us as a culture or race or people? Why don't we stand up and say, if you're going to cancel somebody for saying something or allegedly saying something that impacted an individual or a race's feelings, then why don't we get the same level of respect? Okay? I want you to keep that in your mind. So when Kanye and Candace at Fashion Week allegedly wore the shirts that said White Lives Matter, is it that the phrase White Lives Matter is anti-Semitic, and what does it have to do with Jews? Does the phrase white lives matter do anything negative to African Americans? And if so, what does it do? I don't personally care if he walks around with a whole white lives matter tuxedo on. It doesn't move me. That's the truth. That's me personally. I'm not saying you have to feel that way. But when did we become so sensitive culturally that if somebody chooses to make a fool of themselves, that it turns into you did something to me because of what you wore on your back? And do we have a different standard for Negroes doing that than we do for Anglo-Saxons or Hispanics or Jewish people or whomever? All of these things I want you to just keep in your mind. If you got a response, you can give me the response, but you don't have to have it. But the question for me tonight and for you is, what makes is if I say something, where does the freedom of speech and the legality portion of it end and begin? Because it appears that if you say something that is alleged to be hurtful to people of Negro descent, we ain't canceling them. You ain't canceled Donald Trump. And he said some stuff that was offensive to women. He said things that was offensive to blacks. When the situation happened in Charlottesville, Virginia, Donald Trump went on TV and said this as it relates to the individuals that was driving the cars and spewing out hate and had swastikas and all that. He said it was good people on both sides. Now, if Kanye and Candace Owen wearing a shirt that says white lives matter is offensive to Negroes, how in the world did we stand back and not do the cancel culture on Donald Trump when he said it, that look, it's good people over there running folks over? Let's see what we got out here. Nikki Carter said he has freedom of speech. Okay. Big Rod said, I will go first. We as a people do not have the financial resources, backing, or unity to stand together to get anything done. We will talk about it, but that's about it. Now, Big Rod, I agree with you partially. Matter of fact, let me put your stuff back up. Let me tell you what I disagree. I don't agree that we don't have the financial resources. Negro culture spends $12 trillion a year. We know this to be a fact. What you said that was accurate is we absolutely don't have the unity to stand together to get anything done. Because when you spend $12 trillion in an economy, you have the voice, but when it comes time to say the same thing, we get to hemming and hawing. I agree with that. And so, me personally, again, this is not a representation of, and for white America, for my Caucasian brothers and sisters, for my Latin ones, for my Jewish homies, everybody. This does not represent everybody in the Negro culture. I don't represent everybody in the Negro culture on this subject matter. I'm saying to you all, if he and Candace wore a White Lives Matter t-shirt, I'm not even certain that they knew. They could have known, but I'm not certain if they knew that it was tied to some kind of white hate group and who created it or whatever. I didn't know it. So is it matter of fact, to all of you who are up here tonight, did any of you know that the White Lives Matter t-shirt was, or the White Lives Matter slogan was created by some neo-Nazis? I didn't personally know it. So all I'm saying is, while I don't know everything, I tend to stay up on some stuff. I knew people didn't like it. I knew black folks didn't like it, but I didn't know that it was created by some neo-Nazis. So is it possible that Ye, however you pronounce his name, is it possible that he didn't know? Is it possible that he wore that shirt for his own dumb reasons? Nikki Carter said they knew, or she definitely knew. Allegedly. Nikki Carter. We don't know what they knew. Nikki Carter said she knew. Hey, and that's the point that I'm making. Some maybe did. Some maybe didn't. And even if he knew, let me say this. Even if Ye knew, wasn't it his freedom of speech right to put that on a shirt if by the same voice we say that Negroes, blacks have a right to wear and be proud of a Black Lives Matter shirt? If we have a right to wear it without being harassed, no matter how ignorant it may have been for him to do it, doesn't he and Candace and whomever have a right to wear it without the harassment? Candace is a race baiter. Allegedly, she may be. I don't know. Let me see what Cassandra say. I believe Ye used the slogan for another reason not related to a hate group. That's what I'm talking about. You know what? And I'm glad I'm not the only one that feels that way, because I don't believe that's what he did. I believe he either, and this is my own opinion, I believe he wanted to trigger something that was so much greater. In fact, if you ask me, if prior to this happening, he was already trying to get out of an Adidas deal because he was in legal battle with them because they had created a shoe that was similar to his Yeezy brand. And so they were already fighting. Now, I'm not saying that's the reason why, but I do know that he was trying to get rid of some contractual agreements that he had. Maybe this was part of it. But even if he knew, Nikki Carter said, absolutely, it's his right and it's my right not to like it. Nikki Carter, you're absolutely right. And I'm glad you bring that point up. It is your right not to wear it, not to like it, not to purchase it. But is it fair to say that he is spewing hate when I'm pretty sure that some of my white comrades, Jay Dizzle said, me too, he accomplished something he couldn't get done previously. Pure genius. Okay, I'm rocking with y'all. And understand something. None of us are defending him what he chose to do. What we are defending is him doing it and his right to do it. Because the one thing we have to look at as Negro America, who have been insulted and assaulted more than any group in America, maybe not as much as our Native Americans, but we neck and neck either which way. You can't fight for the right for you to say something and for you to protest and for you to talk about your feelings and then turn around and when they don't like something, we latch on and say, yes, we ought to get rid of them. Because what white America, my brothers and sisters in white America will say is, well, look, if you can say Black Lives Matter, we can say White Lives Matter. If you're not saying Black Lives Matter because you got a problem with white people, you're saying Black Lives Matter because you don't want blacks to be killed indiscriminately or mistreated indiscriminately, and you were sending forth a message. Now, let me say this for the record, because I know for a fact that some of you are going to get mad at what I'm about to say. Legal Beagle, I need you to listen in. Make sure I stay on the right side of the legal. All right, first of all, hold on for a second. Let me see what Jay Dizzle said. Jay Dizzle said he's becoming a disruptor. That is the only way some changes can happen. I agree with that. Cassandra said, Ye has issues related to his personal wealth, and he is using all platforms to voice his contention. Absolutely. Now, I want y'all to listen to this. And this is a nugget that I'm putting in, and it has, I don't want to attach this to Ye, but I want you to let this sizzle in your spirit. When Ye or anybody else has a question about Black Lives Matter, and if I'm correct, I believe Chanel may have brought this to our attention about 2 years ago. For those of you who stand so staunchly with Black Lives Matter as an organization, do you even know what Black Lives Matter's organization was created on initially? Does anybody know? If so, before I put it up, before I say it, somebody type it in if you know. Because I believe that there are some of you who do not know what the Black Lives Matter organization's initial mission statement said. Okay. And if you knew, would you still be supportive? And if you knew, would you say that Yeezy or anybody else that had a issue with Black Lives Matter, would they be within their rights? Does anybody know? Or don't nobody want to tackle it? See, that's what we talking about right there. Don't nobody want to tackle it. Let me see. If I'm looking it up right now to see if I can find it, if it still says the same thing that it said before. Let me see. All right, it says Black Lives Matter was founded in 2013 in response to the acquittal of Trayvon. All right, let me say this to you. What it says right now is definitely not what it said when it initially came out. All right. Now, let me tell you what it stood for initially. Okay. Or matter of fact, here it is. I'm going to read this to you. This is coming straight from the Black Lives Matters website. As organizers who work with everyday people, Black Lives Matters members see and understand significant gaps in movement, space, and leadership. Black liberation movement in this country have created room, space, and leadership mostly for Black, heterosexual, cisgender men, leaving women, queer, and transgender people and others either out of the movement or in the background to move to work forward with little or no recognition. As a network, we have always recognized the need to center the leadership of women and queer and trans people to maximize our movement muscle, to be intentional about not replicating harmful practices that excluded so many in the past movement for liberation. We made a commitment to placing those at the margin closer to the center. All right. It's other stuff up there. Hold on for a second. Nikki said, if he doesn't like Black Lives Matter, so what? All right, absolutely. But let me tell you where part of this came from. People had a problem because the comparison of the Black Lives Matter movement. And so if some people had an issue about the White Lives Matter t-shirt allegedly being worn and said that it was taking a shot at the Black Lives Matter movement. If you understood that initially the Black Lives Matter movement was not about Black lives, the initial movement of Black Lives Matter organization was to find equality and to gain ground for the gay, lesbian, transgender, and others community who were beginning to be, as more of information came out about them, they were being discriminated against, much like blacks did. Now, what they understood was it is absolutely no way that they could have come out at that particular time and allowed the focus to be on transgender lives or the LGBTQ community or otherwise. Let me say for the record, any individual has a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness without the aggressiveness of somebody who happens to disagree with them. That's first and foremost. I don't even have to like what you do to say that it is wrong for you to be mistreated. So, hold on. Nikki Carter says, so the organization can't evolve? That's not what I'm saying, Nikki. And see, here we go. So let me answer your question. And let's not go down the rabbit hole with this. I'm not saying that the organization didn't evolve. What I believe is that the organization understood that the revenue streams were going to come from pushing and promoting the agenda of Black Lives Matters, because during the time at its height of it, what was happening was You had the George Floyd thing. You had these other cases where African-American males and females have been brutalized and, if not murdered and killed. And so when you see something that you can latch on to, it doesn't mean nothing good came about it. But the point I'm making is, if y'all mad because of Kanye and Candace, good evening, Mother Rouse. If y'all are mad because Kanye wore a shirt that was represented by somebody who had a different agenda, but you're promoting an organization who had a different agenda other than Black Lives Matter, all I'm saying to you is, think about what you're making this angry assessment about. Okay? I don't know who this is, but they're about to get blocked. Let me block this user. Somebody found a way to jump in. Let me see. All right. So, and I'm saying these things to you because we've got to be thinkers. All right. Let that be clear. We've got to be thinkers. Essie Shepherd, what's going on? Glad to see you. All right. Now, October the 4th, after criticizing LVMH CEO Bernard Arnault at West Fashion Show, the rapper baselessly claimed on Instagram that Arnault killed my best friend, seemingly alluding to designer Virgil Abloh. If I'm not pronouncing his name right, I apologize. Who died of cancer last year and later claimed that the LVMH elitist and racism affected his health. West is criticized by streetwear brand Supreme's creator director Tremaine Emery for using Abloh's death for his own advantage. Again, if I mispronounced his last name, Virgil's last name, I apologize to him and or his family. All right, so he said Kanye, who was actually very good friends with Virgil, implied that some of the things that Virgil was going through professionally led to his untimely demise, although we know that he is said to have had cancer and that's what he is said to have died from. All right, so let's take that. Kanye, being friends with this individual, may have had conversations with him where the stress level of what he was dealing with may have exacerbated his condition. I don't know. But what I did do was I spoke to some medical professionals and I asked a simple question. If you are battling cancer and you are going through other stressors, could it, Kiki Matthews, glad to see you. She's all the way in Hawaii. But I asked the question to the medical professionals. If you are battling cancer, could other stressors related to work, personal life, or otherwise contribute to the rapidness of or the deterioration of an individual who is fighting that battle? And to a person, they all said yes. Now, again, Kanye said, this is based on what was in print, that Arnault, CEO Bernard Arnault, killed my best friend, alluding to the designer Virgil, who died of cancer last year and later claimed that LVMH's elitism and racism affected his health. I don't know if it's true or not, because I didn't have a relationship with Virgil. I don't know how much he stressed about things going on the job. But if you ask me, is it possible? I have to say that it is possible. And I'm not saying this because of me. I'm saying this because when I went to medical professionals who deal with cancer patients, they advised me that stress can exacerbate the symptoms. So Wes is entitled to his own opinion. He probably should have said allegedly. But again, he had a relationship with him different than you or I. Okay? Let's go to the next one. October the 6th. After West publicly complained about his contract with Adidas to make Yeezy products, Adidas said it was putting his long-standing relationship with West at that time under review. And in response, West wrote on Instagram some things that we can't say here. Let me see. Nikki Carter says, shaking your head. I don't know what you're shaking your head for, Nikki, but I'll give you a chance to explain. Dr. Beverly Key, what's going on? Glad to see you. All right, the Legal Beagle said, this is why Ye said he wore the White Lives Matter shirt, and I quote, because the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black. West said. All right, so now the Legal Beagle has brought us a direct quote. So for those of you who said, oh, he did this and he did it representing and knowing that it had to do with some anti-Semitic neo-Nazi group, West himself said he wore the shirt, I quote, because the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it meant to be black. Now, you can say you don't believe him, but I got to take the man's word if that's the reason why he said, and that is consistent with what he said about other issues. So let me ask you all to put this in your sprinkle this on your spirit and put it in your memory bank. Does it matter then if Kanye wore it for a reason that had nothing to do with the neo-Nazis? Because if he didn't know it and if he wasn't thinking about it, his intent wasn't that. His intent was to throw shade at individuals that he believes, and I believe there is some merit to, that there are some, not all, and we are quick to say, I know I am, and it has nothing to do with the legality of this show. I am quick to say, because it is factual, that not all people view and do things the same way. Remember, he said, because the same people that have stripped us of our identity. He didn't say all Jewish people. He didn't say all white people. He didn't say all of anything. He said the same people that stripped you of your identity and labeled you as a color have told us what it means to be black. Cassandra said there's truth in his words. Absolutely it is. Nikki Carter said, no, it doesn't matter to me. And you know what, Nikki Carter? Because Kanye has a reason, the ability to say and speak freely, you do too. But it ought to matter to you. It ought to matter. Because if you're saying that the intent of a person is irrelevant, then I hope you never wind up in a situation where your actions are not questioned or the intent isn't brought to question. Because to me, what a person intends matters a lot. Just like I told you, I don't care nothing about if every Anglo-Saxon, if every Caucasian person, if every European person walked around here tomorrow with White Lives Matter shirts on, I could sit and eat lunch with somebody with a White Lives Matter shirt on. It doesn't bother me, because you got a right. If I'm white, I got a right to feel powerful and respectful and strengthening in my race, just like black folks do. We cannot be in a situation where we're saying it's okay for us to walk around with Black Lives Matter t-shirt on because we're representing our race, but then say if somebody else represents theirs with the exact same slogan, then all of a sudden something's wrong with them. I don't care what they wear. Matter of fact, let me put this on your spirit for a minute. Many of you walk around here today with shoes, purses, belts, and clothing of some of the most alleged racist manufacturers there is. Many of them have even said they don't even want black folks wearing their clothes. Many of them have priced them what they believe that would have put them outside of the grasp of many Negroes. But you will spend your last dime buying them because you think you have arrived when you wear that particular brand because you didn't do your due diligence on the manufacturer or the owner of that company like you attempted to do on Kanye. Look him up if you think I'm playing. Nikki Carter said he can it every day. That's on him. All right, cool. We agree on that. Let's go to the next thing. October the 6th, an interview with Fox News Tucker Carlson. West wears an ultrasound photo around his neck to demonstrate his pro-life views and baselessly claim there is more black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. 50% of black deaths in America is abortion. And then he brings up singer Lizzo when saying being overweight is genocide of the black race. Woo! All right, first of all, let's take this in pieces. I have done my due diligence. I do not know where Kanye West got the numerical number of 50%. I find that to be inaccurate. So as I told y'all, when I find something that's not factual, I'm going to let you know. Now, based on the statement that was allegedly attributed to him on the Tucker Carlson, let me go back. He said there's more black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. He then said 50% of black death in America is abortion. I could find no information that would have made that statement true as it relates to the 50% of black deaths in America being abortion. So I find that unless Kanye or his representatives can reach out and let me know where they got that data from, I have to say that that is a false statement on behalf of Kanye West, or Ye, if you will. However, let's go to the part that people had a problem with. Kanye West wearing an ultrasound around his neck to demonstrate his pro-life views. Why do I care about that? Robin Williams, what's going on? Glad to see you. Let me tell you all, I'm pro-life. I want to live. I want you to live. I want most people to live. I believe some people deserve to die, but I believe that everybody should have a right to live. However, even though I am pro-life, even though I work for Jesus, even though I rocks with God and all this stuff is what I do, I also am human and understand that there are circumstances by which I personally, professionally, and spiritually do not believe that it is a man's decision to make. I don't believe that if a young woman who is 10 years old is raped, she should be forced to carry the child of her rapist because somebody over there on the other side of my perspective says that all lives matter. I'm not in agreement with that. I've prayed about it. I don't have no problem with my walk with Christ. I don't fundamentally agree because I believe that there are circumstances that must be reviewed before you let somebody say that all things are equal across the board. I don't believe that not even a child, I don't believe if a grown woman is raped, that she should be forced to carry a child and bear that. And some of them have said, oh, well, we can make it so they can put them up for adoption. Let me tell you something. If you force a woman to carry a child of her assailant for 9 months, I don't care what you do with the baby afterwards. Do you know the damage and negativity that you inflict on that woman by forcing her to carry that baby to term? Ty said, not to mention that the rapists are allowed to pursue parental rights. I don't even care about that. I'm talking about the fundamental piece, and this is only my perspective. Again, to white America, to the people on the other side, I do not represent all Negroes. I don't represent all blacks. I don't represent all folks that rock with God. I'm saying to you, my own personal, professional, and spiritual position is I am pro-life. I want everybody to have the right to life. But I am also equally concerned that in a society that will say no matter what happens to you, you should be forced to carry a child. I'm not with that. I'm not in support of that. I'm not in support of the fact that, matter of fact, if we go back and look at how many Negro children right here in the United States do not find adoption homes. I've seen some of y'all will go get little Russian babies. Y'all will get little Asian babies. Y'all will get little babies from everywhere else. Y'all will go get a baby from Africa, but you won't adopt some of these little Negro babies that's American citizens. So don't tell me that magically as a group, you're going to say, because we're going to ban you from ever getting an abortion, now we're going to make it so everybody who is in the adoption system gets a home. Stop lying. All right. So Kanye had a right to wear the ultrasound. He has a right to be pro-life, but he did lie allegedly, as far as I've been able to determine in terms of facts. His statement on the Tucker Carlson show that 50% of black deaths in America is abortion is false. All right, October the 7th. Weth is restricted on Instagram for violating the app's policy after he posted a screenshot of a text conversation he had with Sean Diddy Combs, in which he said he was going to use Combs as an example to show the Jewish people that told you to call me that no one can threaten or influence me, which the American Jewish community says invokes tropes like greed and control about Jewish people. Listen, people. Once again, we back on this. Now, I want you to rock with me on this for a second. Listen to it one more time. Instagram restricted his access because he posted screenshots of a conversation he actually had or allegedly had. Ain't that right, Legal Beagle? Allegedly had with Sean Diddy Combs, in which he said he was going to use Combs as an example to show the Jewish people that told you to call me that no one can threaten or influence me, which then the American Jewish Committee says invokes tropes like greed and control about Jewish people. Now, let me ask y'all a question. First of all, why would, and I'm just asking this, I don't know. And for those of you who don't know, the word trope is a figurative or metaphorical use of a word or expression. So when the American Jewish Committee says it invokes a figurative or metaphorical use of a word like greed and control about Jewish people, I want y'all to think about this for a second. Kanye West allegedly said, I'm going to show these text messages to everybody on Instagram and otherwise. I'm going to use it as a quote, an example to show the Jewish people that told you to call me. He never said all Jewish people are this or that. He said, I'm going to post up the very text messages that we allegedly had so that everybody can see them. And so to let the very people that told you to call me, that no one can threaten or influence me, which then, okay, hold on. Cassandra got some information. She said, I found the article, the stats, article/stats. Ye was talking about 50% of abortions are by black women. She said she's not going to post it here. Research it. It's out there. All right. So let's go back before we finish that. So we've got some information on the October 6th Fox News interview with Tucker Carlson, when West says there are more black babies being aborted than born in New York City, and 50% of black deaths in America is abortion. He was wrong about that. What he probably read is what our legal beagle has found, which was a statistic that says 50% of abortions are by Black women. Not 50% of Black deaths in America is abortion, but 50% of the abortions are by Black women. All right. And Legal Beagle, you don't have to post it up here, but do me a favor and send it to me, and then I'll make sure that I give people the direction to go to that. So again, to make clarity, the statement he made on Tucker Carlson was incorrect because he probably misrepresented, or he was probably speaking too fast. I don't know. Or maybe he intended to say it that way. But the statement that 50% of Black deaths in America is abortion was incorrect. If he meant to say that 50% of all abortions in America are by Black women, he would then have been correct. All right. Now, let's go back to this. Somebody tell me if Kanye, hold on. Cassandra said that's about 20 million deaths of 14% of the Black population. Hey, she telling y'all facts. That's data. All right. But I want y'all to answer me this question. Tell me, for what reason would the American Jewish Committee reach out to Instagram for a beef or disagreement allegedly between Kanye West and Sean Diddy Combs, for which Kanye allegedly posted up actual text messages with Sean Diddy Combs reaching out to him to talk about something he had said or allegedly done. So when Kanye says, I'm not only going to post up what you allegedly sent me, but I'm doing it so that whoever, the people that told you to call me, will understand that they don't have no influence or can't threaten me. As soon as he did that, the American Jewish Committee reached out to Instagram and said that it invoked tropes. And we have the definition again of tropes is this. It is a figurative or metaphorical use of a word or expression. Tropes like greed and control about Jewish people. Well, what did he do wrong? Obviously, allegedly, Sean Diddy Combs reached out to him and said something about, hey, somebody told, I'm reaching out to you because of XYZ. Kanye said, hey, look, I'm going to show everybody in America what you text me. And I'm showing it to him because I want the people. He didn't say all Jewish people. He said, I want the people that told you to call me to know that they can't threaten me and that you can't influence me. Was he wrong? And was Instagram wrong for then banishing him for that or restricting him for that when Donald Trump was saying everything he wanted to say and y'all couldn't get him off the air? It took forever for Facebook and others to pull him off. But Kanye is talking to Sean Diddy Combs, and for some reason, the American Jewish Committee said they reached out and made a complaint about him. So if you had nothing to do with it, why would you care? I'm just saying. Sprinkle it on your spirit. October the 9th on Twitter, West claims he's going to DEF CON 3 on Jewish people, an apparent misspelling of DEF CON, and says it was not anti-Semitic for him to say so because Black people are actually Jews. Also, and his account is promptly locked by the social media platform. All right, let's talk about that. First of all, me being in the military, anybody else up here who was prior military is going to understand what I'm about to show you all and tell you all. First of all, him saying he is going to go to DEF CON 3 is not him threatening to do anything to anybody. If you had ever been in the military, you will understand that there are 5 levels of DEF CON. All right. And DEF CON was a system developed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the JCSs, and Unified and Specific Combat Command. It prescribes 5 graduated levels of readiness or states of alert for the U.S. military. It increases in severity from DEFCON 5, which is the least severe, to DEFCON 1, which is the most severe, to match varying military situations, with DEFCON 1 signaling the outbreak of nuclear warfare. Let's read what Kanye said now. He said he was going to go on DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Allegedly, that's what he said. And it was, but then he said it's not anti-Semitic for him to say so because black people are actually Jews. First, let me clear something up for y'all. For those of you who can see, I don't know if y'all can see that good or not, but you can go out on the web and you will see what the military DEFCON levels are. Now, I put that up there because I wanted you guys to see that this wasn't me making it up. DEFCON 3, which is what Kanye allegedly said he was going to go on. Here's what DEFCON 3 is based on the standard system. DEFCON 3, the exercise term is known as roundhouse. The description is increase in force readiness above that required for normal readiness. In Air Force, readiness to mobilize in 15 minutes. DEFCON 3 means increase in force readiness above normal readiness and would be used in situations that may not pose an immediate danger, but warrant significant alert. Under this warning, the military must be prepared to launch operations within 15 minutes. So you blocked, allegedly, Kanye West's Twitter account. Now, we know how long it took Twitter to take Donald Trump down. You took Kanye West off because he said, I'm going to go to DEFCON 3, which means I'm just going to increase my readiness because there are some things going on around me that pose me an immediate danger. I don't have to do anything. I just have to be more alert. That's what DEFCON 3 is. He didn't say I'm going DEFCON 1. DEFCON 1 is, hey, that's the fade out. That's the that's when nuclear war is imminent. He didn't say DEFCON 2, which is the step next to nuclear war. He said, I'm going DEFCON 3, and by DEFCON 3's definition, all it is I'm about to make myself more aware of what's going on around me. Why did that statement warrant him being banned from Twitter? If we're not banning everybody else who's making far greater threats out there. You have alleged white supremacist groups. You have certain militias. You have certain race groups that are out here every day on social media platforms that are saying things that do not get them banned because of freedom of speech. All he said was, I'm going to increase my readiness because there are situations that may pose immediate danger, that may not pose immediate danger, but warrant my alertness. That's the definition of it right there. So if Kanye says something is going on with me, with the heads of Adidas and other companies that may be Jewish individuals, and he says, I'm letting all y'all know I'm going to a heightened sense of alertness. I'm not doing anything, but I'm going to keep my eye on what's going on. Why was he wrong? Why did he warrant being banned on Twitter? Is it because he said that, was this the part? He was accused then of being anti-Semitic. Remember, to be anti-Semitic, we've already defined, all you got to do is hurt somebody's feelings who happens to be Jewish. Hurt their feelings. I read it for you all, by definition. I wish we had something that made it so important that if you hurt Negroes' feelings, you could go to that level very quickly. You can shoot, kill Negroes in the middle of the street. Donald Trump said he can go out here and rape and assault, allegedly, women in the middle of Times Square, and y'all wouldn't do nothing to him. But Kanye says, I'm dealing with some Jewish people in business that I've got to heighten my alert to because some things going on. And they took him off Twitter. Now, let me spit this little knowledge to y'all because I'm running out of time. Let me give y'all some spiritual knowledge. Kanye West probably allegedly offended, could have offended some Jewish people when he said black people are actually Jews. Kanye West was factually correct when he made reference to the 12 tribes of Israel. Anybody who is considered to be Jewish would have come from or been a descendant, depending on what your beliefs are, of Abraham. Abraham was a descendant, if we believe what the Bible says or the spiritual scholars, that after the alleged great flood, if you will, that when Noah and his kids came off the boat, Noah had 3 sons. Those 3 sons' names were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, based on which one of those 3 sons everyone in America would have derived, everyone in the world rather, would have derived, would tell you what your skin color would likely be. We know, if you will go back historically, that Japheth went over to what would have been the Ireland, the Greece, the Russian area. So they would have been individuals of a lighter or what we consider to be European or white color, skin tone. If you were from him was in the African regions, and you would have been a descendant of his, you were likely to be of a darker complexion. But if you were a descendant of Shem, S-H-E-M, you would have been in the Syrian and Asia Minor region. If you go today and you pull up Syrians, they are people who have a skin complexion that is almost a sandy color to a bronzy color. Look it up for yourself. So if I can tell you that Abraham was a descendant of Shem, then that means the descendants of Abraham would likely have been from that region of the Syrian, and therefore their skin tone would likely, now there are some exceptions in every group, but their skin color would have been bronzy or of sand color. And if this is true, then when Kanye says that the 12 tribes of Israel would have been of people of color, he's not lying. So if he's not lying, and why is it offensive to anyone for someone to say that Jewish people are people of color? Because I submit to you, if Jewish people find it offensive to be called people of color, then you are assessing, allegedly, that being a person of color is a lower or derogatory thing. Why would you be offended? Because if somebody called you rich, you wouldn't have a problem with it. But if somebody calls you a person of color and it causes you to reach out and say that they're anti-Semitic because they made that statement, what about the statement offended you? Those are just questions. Look, people, I got to go. But here's what my decision about Kanye is. Kanye is somewhat of an enigma. He has certainly provoked America and people around the world into different perspectives. Again, I am neither a fan nor do I have a problem with him. I believe he deserves the same rights as every other person in America, no more, but certainly no less. And I submit to you that until you are checking everyone who is saying discriminatory, derogative, and divisive things about Negroes, blacks, calling us niggas and everything else, until you're going to check all of them, I suggest that you give Kanye back his Twitter account. I suggest that you, and certainly you as people of color, you consider what you latch on to when you say you got a problem with Kanye or anybody else, because the facts of the matter is, as of what we know right now, what did he do to offend somebody that you and I couldn't have done just by walking around? I'm going to let that be the end of it. People, I can't tell y'all how to think, how to feel. But let's operate with facts.
Yeah. Here we go.
One love.
We go. The Sinclair Show is on.
If it's on,
Run it to your friends. Come on.
come on.
It's a moment of the show tonight.